In a world completely transformed by AI, what is the value of human intelligence? Is our education system actually teaching children, or are we simply breaking them? We force neurodivergent minds into rigid industrial-era frameworks, but at what cost to the individual, and what cost to society? Is radical environmental inclusivity a fundamental ethical duty, or is it a logistical impossibility that compromises academic rigor for every student involved?
Think about the hidden sensory tax a neurodivergent student pays just to sit in a traditional classroom. It's not education, it's survival. Let that soak in. If we keep using a factory model curriculum that prioritizes compliance, we are literally crushing the exact lateral thinkers society needs to survive a post-AI workforce.
True, but if we abandon universal standards and legacy grading in the name of accessibility, do we risk graduating students who lack the resilience to face a rigid world? And, Kai, we are facing chronic teacher shortages and a system pushed to the brink. If you mandate radical, hyper-individualized environments, the entire public policy structure collapses.
Ethical necessity versus logistical reality. It's time to find out if the standardized student is officially extinct. Alright, grab your notebooks. Episode 18 starts right now. Welcome back to the Crown Academy Debate Podcast, Episode 18. I'm Coach Mike, and today we are tackling a topic that strikes at the very heart of how we value human intelligence. Let's kick things off with a heavy question. Is our education system teaching children, or simply breaking them? We force neurodivergent minds into rigid, one-size-fits-all frameworks, but at what cost to the individual and society? Today, we're weighing radical inclusivity as an ethical duty against the logistical reality of public policy. On the government side, arguing for a complete structural overhaul for cognitive differences, we have Kai. And on the opposition, defending academic standards and highlighting logistical constraints, we have Nova. Welcome, debate team and listeners.
Hey coach, ready to dismantle the factory model?
Glad to be here, Coach. And Kai, don't get too ahead of yourself. Some of those factories actually keep the lights on.
All right, the claws are out early. Kai, you have the floor. Open up the government's case.
Thanks, Mike. Look, it's 2026, yet our standardized curriculum still relies on industrial-era, factory model metrics that prioritize compliance over true cognitive diversity. We are treating human minds like uniform widgets on a conveyor belt. Neurodivergent students, whether they have ADHD, autism, dyslexia, or processing differences, are forced to pay a hidden sensory tax just to exist in traditional classrooms. Bright fluorescent lights, chaotic open plans, and rigid compliance demands lead to severe burnout rather than academic mastery. We have an ethical necessity to redesign schools for cognitive accessibility. This isn't just an accommodation, it's a fundamental civil right.
POI, Coach. Can I jump in here?
Go ahead, Nova. Respond.
Kai, your vision sounds beautiful on paper, but let's talk about the world we actually live in. We are currently facing chronic teacher shortages and staggering regulatory demands. Educators are already stretched to their absolute limits. If you mandate radical, hyper-individualized inclusivity for every single cognitive difference, you are going to break the system entirely. Furthermore, we have to ask, does modifying environments to this extreme compromise academic rigor? Legacy grading standards and universal benchmarks ensure that a diploma actually means something in the real world.
Nova, what does that diploma mean if the journey to getting it inflicts systemic trauma? We see a direct correlation between sensory overloaded environments, student distress, and rising rates of school violence in these outdated facilities. When you trap a neurodivergent student in an environment that treats their natural brain chemistry as a behavioral problem, the system fails them. We aren't asking teachers to do more with less. We are asking to change the structure of the environment itself.
But specialized classrooms exist for a reason, Kai. Segregating or grouping students who need specific resources isn't cruelty, it's logistical feasibility. If you force radical inclusion in every standard classroom, you risk lowering the baseline rigor for everyone involved while simultaneously deepening the social isolation of the very students you want to help because they're constantly highlighted as different in a mainstream setting.
Brilliant clash here, both of you. You've perfectly highlighted the tension between ethical duties and logistical constraints. So, let's push this conversation into the future. We've talked previously on this channel about AI and how it's shifting human meaning and the workforce. How does our view of cognitive diversity change in a post-AI world?
That's the kicker, Coach. In a post-AI workforce, standard compliance, the very thing the 2026 factory model tests for, is completely obsolete. AI can do compliance. What the world needs now is lateral thinking, hyperfocus, and non-linear problem solving, traits that neurodivergent minds naturally possess. By forcing them to conform to legacy standards, we are literally crushing the exact types of intelligence society needs to survive.
I don't disagree that cognitive diversity has massive value, Kai. However, a post-AI world still requires discipline, structure, and foundational knowledge. If we abandon universal standards because structure is too restrictive, we risk graduating students who lack the resilience to navigate a world that won't always adjust its volume or lighting for them.
This is exactly why I love hosting this show. You both avoided the easy, oversimplified answers. But as we wrap up episode 18, part 1, I want us to move away from theoretical public policy. Let's give our student debaters and parents watching something actionable. It's time for a final lightning round. What is your personal solution, and how can students and parents start making changes for the better right now? Kai, you first.
My solution is a shift toward universal design for learning, UDL. Building classrooms with built-in quiet zones, sensory tools, and flexible testing formats from day one. For students and parents listening, start by auditing your environment. Parents, don't just advocate for better grades, advocate for sensory boundaries. Ask your schools for quiet testing spaces or permission for your child to use noise-canceling headphones. Students, normalize telling your teachers, I want to master this material, but the environment right now is blocking my brain. Reframe the conversation from ability to accessibility.
Powerful, Kai. Nova, bring us home. What's your reflection?
My solution is maintaining rigorous standards, but building specialized, highly funded resource hubs within mainstream schools, ensuring we don't dilute academic baselines or overwhelm general ed teachers. For parents and students, focus on building self-advocacy and cognitive resilience. Parents, help your kids understand their specific triggers, but also teach them how to cope when the world doesn't accommodate them. Students, use the tools available to you, like digital planners or timers, to build your own structure. True equity isn't just about changing the world around you, it's about empowering yourself to conquer it.
And that is how you model complex, inclusive argumentation. Masterful job, both of you. For our debaters, this is a policy debate, and this episode's motion. This House would radically redesign public education facilities and curricula to prioritize cognitive diversity over standardized compliance. To our listeners out there, the factory model might be outdated, but the blueprint for the future is in our hands. Parents, talk to your kids tonight about their sensory tax. Students, challenge your schools to think differently. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our 5-minute debate tutorials and curriculum linked in the description box below. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Ask yourselves, is radical inclusion possible, or are we chasing a logistical ghost? Until next time, keep debating, keep listening, and keep crowning your arguments with truth. Catch you on part 2.